formerly Tales from the Void. Welcome to the Occultic Abyss.
Some books are not meant to be found. Some words are not meant to be read. And some knowledge should never awaken the mind of a mortal. I found it in the remnants of a cathedral long swallowed by fire and shadow. The ruins whispered to me, guiding my hands through rubble and ash until they rested on a manuscript unlike any I had ever seen. Its cover was black, but it seemed to pulse, as if the darkness inside it had a heartbeat. No lock, no seal, no guardian, only the faintest glow of symbols that writhed when I looked too closely. I should have left it there. I should have run, screaming into the night. But curiosity is a flame that feeds on fear, and I lit it anyway. I opened the manuscript. The pages were brittle, yet they bore writing that seemed alive. Letters twisted and shifted as if reading me back, as if the book knew me before I knew it. Diagrams of thrones, 9 of them, filled the pages. Each throne was unlike anything I could comprehend, massive, jagged, formed from shadows and whispers, with eyes that weren't eyes, and mouths that never stopped murmuring. The manuscript warned me in a single line, etched deep in the margin, "Do not look upon the thrones, for to see is to awaken." I did not listen. I never listen. And so I read aloud, each word trembling on my tongue, tasting like ash and iron. The room grew colder. The candlelight flickered unnaturally, shadows stretching into shapes that did not belong. I heard a whisper behind me, or was it inside my head? It spoke my name, in 9 different voices at once. That night, I dreamed of the first throne. It was enormous, impossible. A figure eyeless and endless, with mouths opening where none should exist, chanting in a language older than time. It offered me knowledge. It offered power. And I wanted it. But when I reached out, I realized the cost. The manuscript had marked my hands with sigils, keys that bound me to the thrones I could not yet see. Days passed, though I cannot say how many, for time began to twist around me. The shadows in my room moved independently, lingering where they had no right to be. Mirrors no longer reflected me, they reflected the thrones behind me. I tried to destroy the manuscript. I burned it, I drowned it, I buried it beneath rocks. Each time, it returned, unbroken, alive, and whispering. I read further. Each throne had its own purpose, its own hunger. The second twisted time, the third warped my reflection, the fourth murmured the names of the damned into my ears, the fifth bled nightmares into the waking world. And still, the 6th and 7th revealed themselves in glimpses, the 6th showed truths I could not unlearn, the 7th introduced others, lost like me, who had sought the manuscript before. And now, the 8th and 9th thrones. I can feel them. They do not sit far away. They sit in the room with me. The air tastes of old rot and metal. Every object trembles. I hear the voices again, louder, urgent, demanding a name for the 9th throne. I understand what it wants. I understand what it takes. And I may not survive it. I write this confession as my warning. Whoever finds this recording, whoever listens to my voice, know this, the thrones see you. They remember you. And the manuscript waits. Hidden, yet patient. Its pages will call your name, its words will crawl beneath your skin, and when you read aloud, the 9 thrones of the damned will awaken for you, too. Some knowledge is never meant to be known. Some books are never meant to be opened. And some darkness will never forgive curiosity. I should have left the manuscript buried in the ashes of that cathedral. I should have forgotten it, unlearned its words, and prayed that the thrones never remembered me. But once you see them, once you awaken them, there is no returning. That night, my room was alive with shadow. The candlelight flickered against walls that breathed, stretched, and leaned closer than they should. The first throne had awakened. It did not move, not exactly, but it existed everywhere at once, a presence that defied shape or measure. Its mouths whispered in a language that clawed at the edges of my mind, voices that promised knowledge and power I could not refuse. One voice rose above all the others, cold and ancient, calling my name with certainty and hunger. You read, now you belong. I tried to flee the darkness, but reality had begun to unravel. Clocks spun backward. Days bled into nights with no pattern. I stepped from one corner of the room to another, and each time I looked back, the space had shifted, the shadows twisting into corridors and doors I had never built, walls I had never touched. Mirrors no longer reflected me, they reflected the thrones behind me. And in each reflection, the first throne loomed larger than the room, eyeless and impossible, its mouths moving without sound, speaking secrets I did not yet understand but would never forget. The manuscript returned to my side, glowing faintly. The letters writhed and twisted as if impatient, crawling into my mind with every glance. I understood nothing, and yet, I understood everything: the order of the thrones, the names of the first gods, the weight of centuries pressing against my skull, the reason the cathedral had been burned to ash. The whispers became voices. Names of those who had come before me, summoners who had vanished into the void, their screams echoing faintly beneath the words. And then I felt the second throne. It was not in my room, and yet it was. Time itself bent around it, hours folding and twisting, events repeating in impossible patterns. My memories fractured. Was I awake? Asleep? Dreaming? I could not tell, and each step I took seemed to fold upon itself, carrying me further into a place that should not exist. The third throne manifested in mirrors and glass, watching me, waiting, its mouth shaping words I could not form, its gaze impossible to escape. I tried to resist, to hide, to look away, but resistance only drew them closer. I dreamed, and in dreams, I saw all of them. 9 thrones, towering, primordial, seated on thrones of bone and shadow, ruling a void of ash and smoke. The souls of previous summoners drifted among them, bound and silent, their minds broken, their bodies long forgotten. I heard their voices, distant, calling my name, warning me, urging me to stop. And still, I pressed on. Each throne spoke differently. Some offered knowledge, some offered power, some only demanded obedience. And I understood that to resist was impossible. The 6th throne revealed truths that mortals are never meant to know, that life is but a fragile echo of their design, that death is a door they control, and that reality itself bends beneath their will. The 7th throne whispered of others, trapped like me, fragments of human curiosity swallowed by the manuscript, their names and fates lost to time. Their voices clawed at me from beyond the veil, urgent, hollow, pleading. The darkness thickened further as the 8th throne approached. I felt it in every corner, every shadow, every heartbeat. The air grew heavy, pressing down on my chest, curling at my feet, filling the room with impossible weight. I knew it wanted recognition, demanded acknowledgement, and I understood that the 9th throne, the final throne, was waiting. It hungered not for worship, not for obedience, but for the summoner. And I feared what it would do when it claimed me. I write this as a confession, knowing that someone will hear my voice, someone will see the manuscript, and someone will awaken the thrones again. I cannot destroy it. I cannot escape them. They sit in the corners of the world, in shadows, in mirrors, in the edges of thought, waiting for the curious, the desperate, the foolish. And I am all 3. And yet, I hear it again, the 1st throne, calling my name. It is closer than ever. It watches. And tonight, it waits. The night after the manuscript awoke the 1st and 2nd thrones, I could no longer tell where my room ended and the darkness began. The air was thick, almost tangible, pressing against my skin, twisting my breath into shallow, sharp gasps. Every shadow felt alive, every flicker of candlelight a heartbeat of something older than this world, something patient and hungry. I had read the manuscript, I had spoken the words, and now, the first vision came to me. It began as a dream, but I knew it was more. I could feel it while awake, even as I moved through the fractured hours of my life. I saw a throne, massive and impossible, suspended in a void of ash and smoke. It was eyeless, but its gaze penetrated deeper than any sight. Its mouths opened and closed endlessly, forming words I could not yet comprehend. I felt its hunger, not for flesh or blood, but for awareness, for acknowledgement, for the living mind to witness it. I tried to close my eyes, tried to turn away, but I was already too far gone. The first vision had claimed me, even before I knew what it was. I could hear whispers, not in the room, but inside my head, faint and curling like smoke. See us. Remember us. Speak our names. The words crawled beneath my skin, carving themselves into memory. I felt a pull, a weight on my soul, dragging me toward the impossible shapes that danced in the periphery of my sight. And then the other thrones joined, subtle at first, shadows flickering behind walls, behind mirrors, bending the edges of reality. I understood then what the manuscript had meant. To read it was to invite them. To speak it was to become part of their design. The first vision did not speak in language I could recognize, yet I understood. It showed me glimpses of the damned, those who had touched the manuscript before me, their faces hollow, their bodies twisted, their minds absorbed into the void of the thrones. They reached for me in dreams, not as people, but as echoes, warning, pleading, cursing. And then the vision shifted, bending the void, revealing the 2nd and 3rd thrones, hints of shapes I could not fully comprehend. They were not content to sit quietly, they were active, aware, feeding on the awe and fear that radiated from me. I awoke suddenly, though whether it was truly waking or just another layer of the vision, I cannot say. My room had changed. The shadows leaned closer, stretching, twisting. The manuscripts lay open at my side, glowing faintly, letters crawling across the pages, forming words I could not speak aloud. I touched one and felt it pulse, alive, as if it were aware of my fingers, aware of my intent. I understood something terrifying. The thrones had learned me. They knew my thoughts before I knew them myself. Night after night, the visions grew more vivid, more personal. I saw the first throne not as a shape, but as a presence within me, shaping my dreams, my memories, my sense of self. It whispered to me constantly, promising knowledge I would crave, but warning that it demanded awareness, obedience, and eventually, surrender. The second and third thrones watched from beyond, their forms shifting, bending time, warping the edges of reality until I could not distinguish waking from dreaming. I wandered through halls that were mine and not mine, through rooms that appeared and disappeared, through mirrors that reflected thrones and nothing else. I began to see figures in the shadows, humans, or perhaps echoes of those who had read the manuscript before me. Their faces were pale, eyes empty, bodies contorted. They reached silently, attempting to warn me or perhaps lure me further. I could not tell the difference. Their whispers intertwined with the first throne, forming a chorus of incomprehensible sound, a language older than the stars. And through it all, one message remained constant: you are ours now. You cannot resist. You belong. My dreams were invaded. I would wake to find visions lingering in the corners of my room, thrones barely visible, mouths opening and closing silently, eyes everywhere and nowhere. I began to understand the true horror. The first vision was not a dream. It was the beginning of a connection, a bond forged between me and the thrones. Each glance at the manuscript, each word read aloud, strengthened it, pulled me deeper into the void. I was no longer merely an observer. I was a participant in something vast, primordial, and unforgiving. The nights stretched. Time itself warped. I could not measure hours or days. Each moment bled into the next, and the thrones made themselves known more insistently. The second throne bent reality around me. I would step, and the space shifted, doors appearing and vanishing, walls stretching and compressing. The third throne haunted my reflections, mirrors became portals, reflections moved independently, and I could feel unseen eyes watching from every polished surface. My own reflection sometimes reached for me, sometimes whispered my name in a voice that was both mine and not mine. And then the first vision came again, clearer than before. It hovered at the edge of perception, calling me with those impossible mouths, offering knowledge of the universe, truths no human should ever know, truths that felt heavier than the stars themselves. I felt the pull of understanding, the temptation of surrender. And I knew, in the deepest part of myself, that the first throne wanted more than observation. It wanted me to remember, to obey, to invite the others fully into my reality. I began to see the eighth and ninth thrones in glimpses, distant and distorted, hints of shapes and shadows bending reality. Their presence was subtle yet overwhelming, a weight pressing into my mind, a demand for recognition and acknowledgement. I understood that the final throne, the ninth, waited for me, patient, calculating, hungering for the one who had awakened the others. I write this not as a warning, not as advice, but as a confession. Whoever listens to my voice, whoever finds this record, know this: the thrones see you. They remember you. They wait in shadows, in reflections, in the corners of thought. To read, to watch, to know, is to invite them. And the first vision, the first throne, will claim you before you realize it. And still, I hear it calling. Closer. 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 Tonight, they awaken again. The manuscript never rests. Neither do the thrones. Since the first vision, my nights have blurred with waking, my waking indistinguishable from dreams. The shadows in my room twist and pulse with intent, and the thrones, they have multiplied. I have seen the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, each one a variation of impossibility, each one hungering in its own way, each one testing the limits of my mind and soul. The second throne is time made flesh. It moves through the hours, bending them around me, folding minutes and centuries into one another. Clocks spin backward, my own heartbeat lags behind me. I cannot tell how long I have existed here, how many nights I have spent wandering rooms that are not mine, corridors that fold upon themselves, staircases that vanish into shadows only to reappear where they do not belong. Each tick of time echoes with whispers of the damned, voices that are not my own, calling names I cannot remember and yet must recall. I tried to resist, tried to sleep, tried to pretend it was all illusion, but the second throne does not permit delusion, it forces reality to kneel. The third throne occupies mirrors, reflections, and glass. It watches from surfaces, contorting them, twisting them, turning each polished reflection into a portal. I see myself, or what I should be, but my reflection no longer obeys me. Sometimes it lingers, sometimes it smiles when I do not. Sometimes it moves of its own accord, gesturing toward things unseen, pointing to horrors behind me that I dare not look at. Its mouths move silently, forming words I cannot speak aloud, revealing truths my mind struggles to bear. And in those glimpses, I feel a hunger directed not at flesh, but at my awareness, at the very fact that I perceive. The fourth throne brings voices, the voices of the damned, the lost, the ones who came before me and failed. They whisper through walls, through the floorboards, through the very air. They plead, curse, and scream in a language older than memory. At times, I think I hear my own name among them, twisted and broken, echoed from someone long dead, or perhaps not yet born. These voices are relentless. They fill the night and the day, bleeding through my senses until I can no longer discern where I end and the chorus begins. And the fifth throne is chaos made manifest. Nightmares bleed into reality. Objects twist and bend in impossible ways, shadows stretch and crawl over surfaces that should be solid. My hands, my feet, even my thoughts, feel as though they are not entirely my own. I have seen doors vanish into walls, floors buckle and rise like waves, and ceilings descend just to vanish moments later. I understand now that the thrones are not just watching, they are shaping existence around me, bending the world to their will, warping it until it mirrors the manuscript, until it mirrors the void itself. I have tried to flee. I have tried to burn the manuscript again, to bury it, to cast it into rivers, into fire, into the deepest darkness I can reach. Each time, it returns. Alive, patient, hungry, and with each return, the thrones grow bolder. They peer from corners, loom in mirrors, whisper in the air, reminding me that I am no longer a visitor to this nightmare, I am a part of it. In the hours I cannot count, I have glimpsed the sixth and seventh thrones stirring in the periphery, waiting, patient, their attention drawn toward me by the awakening of the first five. I have begun to see hints of the final two, distant and distorted, but I dare not approach them in thought or action. Their presence is a weight, a threat, a promise of things that will devour my mind if I linger too long. And yet, I write this confession because I must. Whoever finds my voice, whoever dares to hear it, must know this: the thrones see you. They remember you. They whisper to you from the corners of perception. They are patient, they are eternal, and they hunger for awareness. The second, third, fourth, and fifth thrones have awakened through me, and I can feel the pull of the remaining four. The final thrones wait, and they are older, hungrier, and infinitely crueler than anything I have yet survived. I have learned that to resist is to perish. To flee is impossible. To look away is futile. The thrones bend reality, warp perception, and devour sanity. They are watching. They are listening. And in the hours of darkness, when the candle flickers and the shadows gather, I can feel the pull of the fifth throne, clawing at my mind, bending my thoughts, whispering secrets I was never meant to know. And still, I write. I write because I remember, because the manuscript demands it, because the thrones want their story told. I write to warn anyone who may find this recording, anyone foolish enough to awaken the thrones. I write because silence is impossible, because the second, third, fourth, and fifth thrones will not allow it. They have claimed my nights, my days, my mind, my existence. And I do not know how much longer I can survive the watching. Tonight, as I record this, I feel them all more clearly than ever. The second throne bending time. The third throne lurking in every reflection. The fourth throne whispering endlessly. The fifth throne shaping reality around me. And the void beyond, where the sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth thrones wait, patient, infinite, inevitable. And I know that when the manuscript calls again, when it whispers my name from shadow and smoke, the remaining thrones will awaken, and I will no longer merely observe. I will become part of their design, a witness, a summoner, and perhaps, one day, a throne myself. Some knowledge is never meant to be known. Some books are never meant to be opened. And some darkness waits for patience to run out. The second, third, fourth, and fifth thrones have awakened. And tonight? I feel them all, surrounding me, watching me, claiming me. The nights have grown longer than nights should be. Time is no longer measured in hours, days, or even moments, but by the watching of the thrones. The second, third, fourth, and fifth have made themselves known. I have felt their presence in shadows, mirrors, whispers, and the shifting walls of my world. But now the sixth and seventh thrones stir. And their hunger is unlike anything I have survived. The sixth throne is knowledge incarnate, a force older than memory, older than the stars themselves. It does not move like the others, it permeates. It twists the edges of thought and memory until reality itself feels brittle. I see the universe as it truly is, not solid, not permanent, but fragile, constructed by the hands of entities far older than mankind. The stars are not what they seem. The earth beneath my feet is a lie. The sky above is a veil hiding truths I am not meant to know. I understand this throne does not simply observe. It teaches. And its lessons are sharp, cutting through sanity like a blade. In dreams, or are they waking visions, I see it hovering over cities, over forests, over oceans. It moves silently, unseen, yet utterly aware of every thought, every fear. And when I try to close my eyes, I see it in the corners of my vision, impossible, eyeless, mouths moving endlessly, forming truths I am too mortal to grasp. Knowledge bleeds into my mind unbidden. Names, dates, histories that never happened, yet somehow always were. I can feel my sanity bending under its weight, stretched thin like a canvas under the hands of a master painter who delights in horror. The seventh throne is different. The seventh throne does not teach, it calls. It reaches. It lures. I have seen fragments of its power in mirrors and reflections. Faces, human yet twisted, reaching through the veil, whispering and clawing with voices of the damned. It shows me those who have found the manuscript before me, lost souls trapped between worlds, their eyes hollow, their mouths forming silent screams, their bodies bent and broken by curiosity. Some plead for help. Some curse me for daring to awaken the others. And some seem to mock me, knowing the end that awaits. I understand now that the seventh throne hungers not for knowledge, not for obedience, but for witnesses. It requires someone to see, someone to acknowledge its existence, someone to carry its memory into the waking world. And I am that someone. Its whispers curl around my mind, soft at first, then urgent, commanding. See. Witness. Remember. Speak our names. Each repetition gnaws at my mind, threading through neurons like black veins, until I am no longer fully myself. I am a vessel. I am a witness. I am a servant in their waking nightmare. The manuscript glows faintly beside me. Its pages curl and shift as if alive, writing themselves anew with symbols and diagrams I cannot comprehend. I touch one and feel it pulse like a heartbeat, as though the thrones themselves are aware of my every movement, every thought. I try to scream, to flee, to hide, but the world bends around me. Doors I have never opened appear. Corridors fold into impossible angles. Shadows stretch like living things to obscure my path, and I hear the seventh throne laughing, soft and hollow, echoing through walls that should not exist. I have seen glimpses of the eighth and ninth thrones in the periphery of my vision. They are patient. They wait. I dare not focus on them, dare not acknowledge them directly, yet I feel their presence pressing at the edges of my reality. The sixth throne has shown me the patterns of existence, the fragility of life and time. The seventh throne has shown me the inevitability of observation, the curse of being seen. And together, they prepare me for what comes next. Nights have no meaning. Days have no meaning. Only the watching, the whispering, the pulsing awareness of the thrones remain. I feel my mind fraying at the edges. Memories of who I was are slipping like sand through fingers, replaced by the visions of the thrones, by the knowledge and the demands they weave. And yet, I cannot stop. I cannot close the manuscript. I cannot escape. The sixth and seventh thrones are here. They are patient, eternal, and infinitely cruel. And I am only their witness. I write this confession for anyone who may find it. Know this, the thrones see you. They remember you. They wait in shadows, in reflections, in the edges of thought. The second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh thrones have awakened. And the final two, they are watching, and they are hungry. I can feel the pull of the ninth throne even now, calling, patient, inevitable. And I know, when it awakens fully, there will be no return. Some knowledge is never meant to be known. Some books are never meant to be opened. And some darkness waits with infinite patience for curiosity to fail. The sixth and seventh thrones have stirred. And tonight, I feel their hunger all around me. The eighth throne watches differently. It does not whisper like the fourth, nor does it bend time like the second. It is subtle and inexorable, a presence that presses against the edges of reality, molding thought and fear with invisible hands. I can feel it in every corner of my existence, in the silent gaps between moments, in the spaces between my own heartbeat. It is patient, and it has learned that patience is the deadliest hunger. Since the awakening of the first 7, my mind has frayed into a delicate lattice of fear and curiosity. The manuscript pulses beside me, more alive than ever, letters crawling and twisting as though breathing. I know the 8th throne watches it as well as me, shaping the manuscript's whispers, sharpening its words, bending its messages until they pierce deeper than any blade. Every glance I take, every thought I think, every fear I feel, is catalogued and drawn into its gaze. I have seen it in reflections, not as a form, but as a distortion. The glass bends and ripples, showing glimpses of something massive, looming, impossible to comprehend. Its edges are everywhere and nowhere. Its mouths open briefly in impossible angles before vanishing, leaving only the echo of thought in their wake. Sometimes, in the darkest hours of the night, I can hear it breathe, not with lungs, but with the movement of existence itself. The 8th throne does not demand obedience like the 7th. It does not teach like the 6th. It waits. And its waiting is a pressure, slow and inevitable. I have begun to see its influence on the other thrones. The first 7 pulse in concert when it moves, their whispers aligning into a chorus that tightens the walls of my reality. I am surrounded by shadows that stretch farther than they should, corners of my room that fold impossibly into themselves, reflections that linger long after I turn away. And in all of it, the 8th throne is the unseen hand, the silent conductor of this symphony of madness. My sleep has become a battleground. Dreams are invaded by impossible geometries, by visions of cities collapsing into themselves, by eyes that are not human, mouths that never stop murmuring. And always, at the center, the 8th throne. I see it reaching for me, not with arms, but with thought, with intent, threading its will through the fragile lattice of my mind. I have tried to resist. I have tried to close my eyes, to cover my ears, to bury my head beneath blankets, but it knows, it always knows. I glimpse the 8th throne even in waking hours. In a puddle of rain on the street, in the reflection of a window, in the angle of a shadow across my wall. It is everywhere that perception exists, shaping, observing, waiting. I understand now that this throne is the ultimate test of the witness. It does not threaten, it does not chase. It allows the observer to feel safe, to believe in their own agency, only to tighten its hold with invisible threads that bind the mind, the senses, the very soul. I can hear the others, 1st through 7th, responding. The whispers coalesce, a subtle symphony of inevitability, drawing me further into awareness of what is to come. And I know the 9th throne waits beyond it, patient, inevitable, hungering for the culmination of all that the others have awakened. The 8th throne is the gate, the pressure, the quiet collapse of resistance. I feel my thoughts twisting beneath its gaze. Memories of who I was, before the manuscript, before the first vision, fade like smoke. My identity stretches and fractures, replaced with awareness of the thrones, of the hunger, of the patience and inevitability of cosmic observation. I try to anchor myself with words, with writing, but even my own letters tremble on the page. They shift when I am not looking, echoing whispers that are neither mine nor human. And yet I write. I record this confession for anyone who may hear it. Whoever finds this manuscript, whoever listens to my voice, whoever dares to awaken the thrones, know this, the 8th throne sees you. It remembers you. It waits. And when the 9th awakens, you will understand what patience, inevitability, and hunger truly mean. I can feel it now, closer than ever. The shadows stretch. The walls bend. The manuscript pulses in rhythm with a heartbeat that is not mine. I hear the low, omnipresent hum of its awareness, and I know that soon, it will open the final gate. And I am ready only in fear, ready only in awe, ready only to witness what no mortal mind should ever behold. The 8th throne has awakened. And tonight, it waits. Silent. Patient. Hungry. The 9th throne waits. It has always waited. Beyond sight, beyond thought, beyond the reach of mortal comprehension. While the first 8 have stirred, whispered, shaped, and consumed, the 9th has lingered in silence, patient, eternal, biding its time for the one who would awaken the rest. I have felt its presence for days, no, months, though I can no longer measure time, and now, at last, I understand its purpose. It is not a throne of observation, nor a throne of knowledge, nor a throne of witness. It is the culmination, the final reckoning, the end of all resistance. I see it first in my dreams, or perhaps my dreams have become reality. The room folds and stretches into impossible angles, shadows thickening like tar, reflections in every surface warping into shapes that do not obey geometry or physics. And there it is, beyond the edges of perception, a void larger than the night sky, eyes that are not eyes, mouths that speak in silence, presence that fills the space I occupy even as it occupies all spaces I cannot. It does not move. It simply is, and in its being, the world trembles. The first 8 thrones respond to it, their whispers, movements, and presences aligning into a symphony of inevitability. The first throne murmurs secrets of hunger. The second bends time. The third twists reflections. The fourth shouts in whispers. The fifth warps reality itself. The sixth feeds knowledge. The seventh demands witnesses. The eighth presses patience upon my mind. And the ninth waits. And I am its summoning. I feel it in the marrow of my bones, in the corners of my eyes, in the spaces between thoughts. It bends perception without effort, shaping my mind into receptivity, preparing me to witness what no human should ever witness. The manuscript pulses beside me, its letters crawling in rhythm with a heartbeat that is not mine. The words now seem alive, reshaping themselves into phrases I do not understand, yet know I must. I touch a page, and a tremor passes through my body as though the throne itself has acknowledged me. In the darkness of my room, I hear its voice, not spoken, not whispered, but felt. It resonates in the deepest parts of my mind, vibrating through neurons, threading through memory, through thought, through fear. It is patient, yet the patience itself is a weapon. The longer I experience it, the more I realize that the ninth throne is not cruel in the way others are. It is inevitable. And inevitability is far worse than cruelty, for cruelty can be resisted, inevitability cannot. I have glimpsed the throne's influence in everything, the shadows that lean closer, the reflections that linger too long, the whispers that curl beneath my skin, shaping my thoughts before I am aware of them. Time fractures beneath its gaze. Space warps. My own sense of self unravels, each memory twisting into visions of what the throne wants me to remember. I see the souls of those who came before me, dare I call them summoners, their fates etched into my mind, consumed, absorbed, integrated into the eternal pattern of the thrones. It begins to communicate not with words, but with understanding. A pulse of intent, a shaping of awareness. I see visions of impossible landscapes, thrones of ash and smoke, primordial entities suspended in darkness, cities folding in on themselves, skies bending into fractal geometries. And at the center, always, the ninth throne. It does not ask, it does not demand, it simply exists, and its existence alters everything. My own thoughts rebel against me. Memory fractures. Names, faces, places slip like sand through fingers. I struggle to anchor myself to the manuscript, to the words, to my own voice, but even these betray me. I feel my identity eroding, replaced by awareness of the thrones, of their hunger, of the inevitability of the ninth. And yet, I cannot stop. I cannot look away. I cannot resist. The ninth throne has chosen me as witness, summoner, and participant in the unfolding. In my waking hours, the world is unrecognizable. Shadows twist into impossible shapes, walls bend, doors appear and vanish, mirrors reflect thrones that do not exist in space but exist entirely in awareness. Every object trembles, every breath is heavy with intent. The manuscript glows as if alive, pulsing in time with a heartbeat I feel in my chest, in my mind, in my soul. The first through eighth thrones respond in harmony, a chorus of inevitability guiding me toward full recognition of the ninth. I see now what it demands. Not fear, not worship, not obedience, but acknowledgement. Recognition. The affirmation of its existence. The final throne hungers not for flesh, nor for thought, nor for knowledge, it hungers for recognition, for the act of being seen by a mortal who understands the weight of what is to come. And I see it. I recognize it. I cannot escape it. I am its witness. And then the world shatters. Not physically, but perceptually. Time folds entirely. Shadows devour light. Reflections multiply infinitely. The first through eighth thrones swirl around me, their whispers forming an unintelligible chant, preparing the stage, shaping the space, bending reality to accommodate the presence of the ninth. And I feel it fully, overwhelming, unstoppable, absolute. The ninth throne is not a throne, it is inevitability incarnate. It does not consume, it does not judge, it simply is, and in being, all else is devoured. I write this now, though I do not know who will read it. Whoever finds this record, whoever dares to awaken the thrones, know this, the ninth throne sees you. It remembers you. It waits. And when it awakens fully, nothing will remain the same. Not your mind, not your world, not your understanding of life or death. It is patient, inevitable, and eternal. And I am but a witness. The ninth throne has awakened. And tonight, all 9 sit in silence, watching, waiting, and I am at the center of their gaze. Some knowledge is never meant to be known. Some books are never meant to be opened. Some darkness waits, patient, eternal. I feel it now, and I know that when the first light dies, I will understand why the 9 thrones of the damned were never meant for mortal eyes. And I am ready, only to witness. The air is heavier now. The thrones have awakened. The 9th throne has claimed its place, and the 1st through 8th resonate in a symphony of awareness that I can no longer escape. I am no longer alone, and yet I am entirely isolated, trapped in a space that is my own and not my own, a room that folds into impossible geometry, a mind that is simultaneously mine and theirs. The consequences of summoning the 9 thrones are not subtle, nor are they forgiving. They are absolute, inexorable, and eternal. Time has unraveled entirely. Days, nights, hours, centuries, they fold into one another. I cannot measure the passage of moments, cannot anchor myself in memory, cannot tell if I sleep or wake. The 2nd throne bends time around me still, and I feel the echoes of my own life repeating infinitely, variations of decisions I never made, paths I never walked, mistakes I will make again and again. My body is present, yet my consciousness drifts between moments like smoke between fingers. The 3rd throne laughs in reflections. Mirrors no longer show reality, they show potential, alternate, impossible versions of me and of everything around me. Sometimes my own reflection reaches out, whispering secrets I cannot resist. Sometimes I see the others who awakened the thrones before me, pale and twisted, faces frozen in terror, their eyes empty, mouths moving without sound. And always, the 9th throne observes, patient, unblinking, inevitable. The 4th throne's chorus is relentless. Whispers, screams, murmurs, they fill every corner, every silence, every breath I take. I hear the voices of the damned stitched into the fabric of existence. Some plead for my help, some curse my presence, and some seem to watch for the moment when my mind finally collapses. I have begun to understand that every thought I have, every memory I try to hold, every choice I attempt to make, is no longer solely mine. They are shaping me, bending me, molding me into something other. The 5th throne's reality is warped. Floors rise and fall, walls ripple, shadows crawl across impossible angles. Objects move against gravity, against logic, against sense. I have attempted to resist, attempted to flee, but the very air conspires against me. My own movements seem delayed, mirrored, or anticipated. The world is no longer stable, no longer true. It exists only as the thrones allow it, and their allowance is partial, cruel, and ever-changing. The 6th throne continues its lessons, relentless. Knowledge pierces my mind, searing clarity I am not meant to possess. I see patterns in the stars, in the histories of humanity, in the infinitesimal interactions of matter and thought. I understand truths no mortal should, how life, death, and memory are malleable, how all of existence bends beneath the watchful presence of the thrones. And yet, understanding brings only fear, for comprehension is a double-edged blade. I know more than I should, and that knowledge is a torment. The 7th throne hungers still, seeking witnesses. Every moment I perceive, every breath I take, every awareness I maintain, feeds it. I am a conduit for its demand, a channel through which its power flows. My mind frays as I try to maintain consciousness, trying to remain myself while being consumed by a role I never chose, by awareness I cannot resist. Its whispers curl beneath my skin, shaping my thoughts before I am aware, weaving obedience into my very perception. The 8th throne's patience has become a weight. It does not shout, it does not bend. It waits. And the longer it waits, the more my mind falters, the more my resistance erodes. I see the universe through its eyes, inevitable, silent, infinite. I feel its presence as a pressure upon my very soul, bending, twisting, coaxing me into full recognition of the 9th throne. And the 9th throne reigns. It is the culmination, the apex of inevitability, the presence beyond comprehension. I feel it everywhere, in shadows, in reflections, in the manuscript, in my own thoughts. It does not need to move. It does not need to speak. It is absolute, and in its absoluteness, everything bends. My mind screams silently, trying to resist the gravity of its gaze, trying to assert the faint illusion of free will. But resistance is a memory, a dream, a fragile illusion. The 9th throne is inevitability made manifest, and I am trapped at the center of its design. I am no longer entirely human. I see the echoes of the 1st through 9th thrones within me, their whispers threading through my memories, my decisions, my very consciousness. I am a vessel, a witness, a summoner, and perhaps, One day, I will become a throne myself, another layer in the endless pattern of the damned. Reality bends around me, perception fractures endlessly, and the manuscript pulses like a living heart, whispering, beckoning, recording. I write this not as a warning. I write it because I must. Whoever finds this, whoever listens to my voice, whoever dares to awaken the thrones, understand this: you cannot undo it. You cannot return. You cannot survive unchanged. The consequences are absolute. The 9 thrones are eternal. Their awareness is infinite. And I am their witness. Nights are no longer night. Days no longer day. I exist in a space that folds in on itself, where shadows stretch like claws, reflections mock my perception, and whispers echo through every corner of thought. My body is here, but my mind drifts through impossible moments, encountering versions of myself, of others, of the damned. I see the manuscripts from previous summoners, their fates etched into my consciousness, their screams now my own. I understand now that the consequence of reading the manuscript, of awakening the 9 thrones, is complete surrender, not to power, but to inevitability. And still, I write. I write because the thrones demand it. I write because memory and observation are required to feed their presence. I write because silence is impossible. The consequences are woven into the fabric of my being. I am fractured, reshaped, aware beyond mortal limits, tethered to entities older than existence, and forever changed. The 9 thrones of the damned have awakened. The manuscript glows, the shadows twist, the whispers chant. Time, space, perception, and thought belong no longer to me, they belong to the thrones. And I remain to witness, to record, to survive, to be consumed, to endure, for this is the consequence. And tonight, the darkness waits, patient, eternal, inevitable. The manuscript lies open before me, its letters crawling, twisting, breathing as though alive. The 9 thrones have awakened. Their whispers fill every corner of my mind, echoing in my thoughts, folding reality around me, bending existence itself to their will. I have survived their watching, only to discover that the abyss is patient. The abyss does not sleep. The abyss does not tire. The abyss watches. I can feel it in my chest, a weight heavier than the world, a presence older than time itself. It is not a throne, nor a shadow, nor a whisper, it is everything, and yet nothing. It is the void between stars, the silence between thoughts, the darkness beneath the light of existence. It waits, and in waiting, it consumes. Not with hunger, not with malice, but with inevitability. Every blink of my eyes, every breath I take, every heartbeat belongs to it now. The 9 thrones pulse around me, their forms twisting into impossible geometry, their mouths opening endlessly, their eyes ever watchful. And above them all, beyond them all, the abyss watches. I do not see it in reflections or shadows. I do not hear it in whispers. I feel it. Deep within my mind, threading through my thoughts, reshaping my perceptions, erasing my past, redefining my reality. Every memory I thought I held, every sense of self, every line of reasoning, they are slipping, folding, and vanishing into its gaze. The 1st through 9th thrones resonate with its presence, their whispers aligning into a chorus of inevitability. The manuscript pulses in response, letters twisting and crawling faster, as if recording everything, preserving it, offering it to the abyss. I try to look away, try to close my eyes, try to resist the pull of awareness, but resistance is a memory, a dream of freedom I can no longer touch. In the distance, I see faint shapes of other worlds, other realities, impossibilities bending like smoke. The abyss shows me them, not to frighten, but to reveal truth. All existence bends to its gaze. Stars die silently, cities collapse, mountains crumble, oceans boil and vanish. And I am here, small, insignificant, and yet entirely seen. The weight of observation presses against my skull, and I can feel my mind stretching, tearing, becoming something else. Something aware. I have glimpsed those who came before me, those who dared to awaken the thrones, those who thought they were summoners but became part of the abyss itself. Their faces flicker in the shadows, mouths opening without sound, eyes empty yet unblinking. Some reach for me. Some plead. Some vanish as I watch. And still, the abyss watches, patient, eternal, and absolute. My hands hover over the manuscript. I touch a page, and it pulses like a heart, alive with the presence of all 9 thrones. The letters writhe into words I cannot read aloud, yet I understand them fully. They speak of inevitability, of the end, of awareness without escape, of the witness who becomes part of the witness, of the summoned who becomes the summoner. And I know, I am both. I am everything and nothing, observer and observed, alive and unmade. The abyss is not cruel. It does not rage. It does not strike. Its presence is a certainty, a gravity that bends all things toward it. I feel it in my bones, in the rhythm of my heart, in the spaces between breath. It is a consciousness without form, without mercy, without purpose beyond being. And in its being, it claims all that I am, all that I perceive, all that I can ever hope to understand. Shadows twist into forms I cannot describe, mirrors reflect impossible thrones and figures, whispers curl beneath my skin, threading my thoughts into shapes I do not recognize. I see my reflection move independently, gestures beckoning, eyes opening wider than humanly possible. The 9 thrones pulse in response to the abyss, feeding, acknowledging, amplifying its presence. And still, the abyss watches. I am exhausted, yet I cannot stop. I am terrified, yet I cannot flee. I am alive, yet the abyss has already claimed me. Every thought, every breath, every heartbeat is catalogued, observed, reshaped, and returned to me as awareness. The manuscript glows, letters crawling faster, revealing truths too vast, too terrible, for comprehension. I understand now that to witness the 9 thrones is to be claimed by the abyss. There is no escape, no salvation, no end. Only watching. I feel time unravel completely. The past, present, and future fold into one endless now. I see possibilities, lives, worlds, and deaths layered atop one another, all under the gaze of the abyss. The 9 thrones swirl around me in impossible geometry, their mouths opening endlessly, their eyes burning with awareness, yet they defer to it. The abyss watches, and all else is secondary. I am unmade. I am remade. I am both and neither. I am memory, thought, observation, witness, and vessel. The 9 thrones have awakened fully, yet even they are subservient to the abyss. Its gaze stretches into infinity, beyond comprehension, beyond existence. And I am here, and it sees me. I write this confession, though words fail me. Whoever finds this, whoever listens, whoever dares to summon, know this, the abyss watches. Always. It is patient. Eternal. Absolute. To awaken the 9 thrones is to invite the abyss itself. To acknowledge its presence is to be claimed by it. To resist is futile. To flee is impossible. And to live is only to witness. The abyss is patient. The abyss is eternal. The abyss is absolute. And I remain, forever. Watching. Observed. Consumed. Tonight, the abyss watches.